Hello, everybody. Welcome back yet again with our brother in the space, Smoke Dog, who can be followed over on X. Great researcher, one of the best ones out there. Some of you guys point out, even myself, consider him the goat of research. But whatever the case be, we're going to be talking about Stellar today because it's not going to be an instance of just talking about Ripple XRP and have Stellar included in the same breath in the honorable mention. No, we're specifically going to focus a little bit on Stellar. And I thought, wow, Smoke has mentioned Stellar before. But before we jump into it, again, just in case you didn't see the other video, you'll see a card that will bring you to it. But again, if you're new to my channel, I want to introduce Smoke once again to you guys. He brings a lot of exclusive content, obviously, to X. So many people in our space cite Smoke in his research. I constantly do it. Those who I'm networked with constantly do it. But we're going to pull this up. And basically, it's this right here. Here is his X. And by all means, give him a follow. Or if you're new to X, put him at the top of your list. He can be followed over at SMQKE DQG. Okay. And of course, he has this brief description of observer and researcher of the current tech shift, decoding the publications of the elite for fellow truth seekers. Again, follow, keep up with the rapidly changing world. And of course, he has exclusive content with the Smoke Room. Again, the ultimate source of documentation available, timely updates, and it's a premium price, but for premium content. And again, check it out if you choose to do so. We kind of gave a brief little intro to this, but just definitely wanted to share that with you guys. Want to, of course, bring him back on the screen. Smoke, so glad to have you, brother. Thanks again for joining us.
Glad to be back. Definitely glad to talk about Stellar. I think there's a lot of underrated information around Stellar and a lot of recent adoption that is worth talking about.
Absolutely. So we're going to jump into this piece that Smoke has. Let's pull it up on your screen.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
And basically, he posted this, I want to say, end of April, going into May. So it's not really super old or anything like that. But a lot of the material that he shares, let me get that tab up, excuse me. A lot of the material that Smoke shares is not necessarily time sensitive. I mean, he'll share what's breaking, what's necessary. So what does Smoke have here? Well, he points out in April 2025, quote, this will allow people holding stablecoins on Stellar to pay at any point of sale terminal that accepts Visa or Mastercard. Stablecoins on the blockchain, Stellar blockchain, I should say, and also the whole thing of Mastercard. Checkmark. What is he referring to? Well, let's pull this up on the next particular tab about this whole thing. And basically, in Smoke's documentation, as cited from Compo Secure, mentions specifically Compo Secure integrates Arculus with MoneyGram, becomes first hardware wallet to provide global cash in, cash out through Stellar. Now, before we kick it over to Smoke, I want to put out a little disclaimer. So a lot of you guys know I promote the Decent Wallet and so on. And this is not necessarily promotion so much of the Decent Wallet. But one thing I thought was interesting, one of their main guys reached out to me and he says, hey, guess what? Due to regulatory compliance, you can no longer get paid, for example, in XRP, right? That was my payout. Interesting, the timing of this, because lately, he points out I can only get paid out in PayPal. Now, we know PayPal recently selected Stellar. Again, that news about only me getting paid in PayPal instead of like choosing Stellar or choosing XRP, I feel as though the timing is really interesting because that being emailed about that right after that happened, called a coincidence, but I thought that was really, really something. Jumping back into this for a brief moment, Smoke has this, and again, some of the highlights. So he highlights this in yellow about Compo Secure. Says this will allow people holding stablecoins on Stellar to pay at any point of sale terminal that again accepts a Visa or Mastercard. And you also have to keep in mind constant references about MoneyGram, constant references about Stellar. But again, your key takeaway should be, again, the whole thing about allowing people holding stable coins on Stellar to pay at any point of sale terminal that accepts a Visa or MasterCard. So again, let's jump back to both Smoke and myself. Smoke, the way I look at it is like this. Danelle Dixon comes out with that announcement basically of PayPal. I have another brief little intro that I want to share with you just in case you haven't seen it. It's specifically Jed McCaleb talking about eventually Stellar being a global Venmo. I believe I might have that primed and ready to go. If anything, you're welcome to clip it if you like. But again, it's the terminology. Sometimes, like, things happened years ago, they were in the making. And again, it's where we go from here. So I'm going to play this real quick.
So, I mean, the biggest thing that we're working on is kind of above the protocol. It's this consumer wallet for people to actually use Stellar, which I'm pretty excited about. It's essentially, you can kind of think of it like a global Venmo, where it's it allows you to do cross-border payments, save money in dollars in places where they have really high inflation, things like that. So it should be really useful for people, and it's got a really awesome UI and it doesn't really expose the fact that you're using crypto, which I think is cool.
So Smoke, before we get into, everything else, again, I just got to get some of your thoughts on this. These old recordings, they still hold weight even in the modern day. Yeah, that was years ago from Jed McCaleb, but it's like, even in one of the screenshots lately, I think it's the one from Danelle, or maybe one that you put out lately, in the screenshot on the top right, it shows Venmo and it also shows PayPal. Well, they got one out of the two. What's next for Stellar?
So that was a very bullish video from Jed McCaleb. I haven't seen that in a while, but that video in combination with that document showing Stellar being used at Mastercard locations at point of sales, I think that is a perfect just description on the role on what Stellar will place in the future financial system compared to XRP, because XRP is mainly focused on interbank transactions, high velocity, high value payments between the largest financial institutions in the world. Stellar, on the other hand, um, connecting apps like Venmo, PayPal, Mastercard between merchants, between individuals across a low cost network with a native digital asset, Stellar XLM. That's the direction that Stellar is going into, and I do think that there's a misconception when we discuss XRP's role in interbank high value, high velocity payments versus XLM, retail, peer to peer, point of sale payment transactions, because I think what people are fail to take into account is the billions of people who are underbanked. There's millions of people, billions of people that are underbanked in the world that if they were able to connect to something like the Stellar protocol with just a Wi-Fi connection and a cell phone, that is a lot of capital to finally be on board into the traditional financial system that was previously prevented and um, did not allow capital flow from certain communities, certain third world countries, and that's certainly something that Stellar is going to completely break the barrier down for value when it comes to bringing a new source of value to the global ecosystem that has never been there, and that's simply underbanked people. And as these connections begin to develop, we will see Jed McCaleb's vision become a reality of a global international Venmo like app, but more efficient, more more cost effective and faster, most importantly, and incorporating all currencies and that are represented on stable coins, like that screenshot that documented like that document confirmed that stable coins at point of sale at um, places where you can send money between peer-to-peer like MoneyGram centers, those are where areas of the financial system where Stellar will dominate. Meanwhile, on a separate but even more impactful level, XRP will dominate bank-to-bank transactions, bank-to-bank apps, where XRP is used as the digital asset to transact those commercial bank payments.
Let's show everybody the final connector, what Smoke is referring to here. It's actually the bottom part of what you had, which I love that you always recognize, again, some of the the missing pieces of the puzzle and whatnot. So let's pull this up on your screen. Let's share this again for reference. Here's what Smoke is talking about here. Again, he shared this not that long ago, right? Just a couple months ago. So Mastercard stablecoin capabilities again revealed. And as we blow this up, just in case you're like on your phone, you want to see it a little bit bigger. Again, you see exactly what he's talking about. Power stablecoin transactions from wallets to checkouts. I mean, Jed McCaleb's vision literally coming to light. And again, this bottom part, actually, I'm going to reference that Mastercard advancing future payments, finance and technology with new global end-to-end stablecoin acceptance and payments capabilities, increasing global regulatory clarity, stablecoins evolving from crypto trading tools to essential solutions. Again, programmability to payments. You kind of get the gist about that. Anytime and anywhere. It especially helps that they have the terminals that are put into place, especially as MoneyGram locations. And Smoke, one thing we definitely do know in closing is when we compare BTC ATMs to, for example, MoneyGrams, I mean, it's something like 400,000, if I'm not mistaken, compared to BTC ATMs. I think that's a big deal. Your closing thoughts in regard to all of it, and especially your own research.
I would just say, in reference to Bitcoin ATM versus stellar point of sale locations, it's those are two different conversations in my mind, and I think in the institution's mind as well. As Bitcoin ATMs aren't necessarily a place where people are seeking low value transfer, um, or even high value transfer from another peer, typically to either invest or sell, or just more of a personal transaction. Meanwhile, Stellar is more of a connector of value, a connector of networks and ecosystems to um, bring digital accounts, digital bank accounts to people who aren't fortunate enough to have them based on their location. And Bitcoin simply isn't attacking the same problem like Stellar is. So seeing that Stellar is simply going the route of working with existing fintechs, existing payment apps, and existing networks, and just facilitating value on those networks and creating new networks and connections. That's entirely different ball game and conversation that will facilitate trillions of value and bring in trillions of dollars of unknown value that's not accounted for, as people who are unconnected to the financial system aren't represented currently. So Stellar will bring that representation to the forefront, to the global stage, and that will certainly have a significant impact on just the capital flow and capital velocity from a peer-to-peer money movement perspective.
Well said. Got nothing else to add to that. Thank you so much for that, Smoke. And with that said, guys, you know the drill. If you listen to this entire outline, do us a solid and type in new network into the comments. We'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Smoke, who will be followed over at SMQKE DQG on X. Know what you have, know what you hold it. The research trumps flood 110%. We'll see you on the next one.